Hello viewers, you're welcome again to our favorite family show, The Living Room, right here at Equa TV Africa. Today on the set with me, I have some very wonderful people. We have usually with us Professor Theresa Madu, who we've seen several times. And then we have a special uncle here, Dr. Ishaya Agaldo, who will be talking with us today about passing on the baton. And they really have a wealth of experience on passing on the baton to the next generation. Dr. Agaldo here is a father of adults. He's a grandfather, and so he knows what he's talking about. He's worked with adults and he knows what is there. Professor Madu too is a mother of adults. So I'm the youngest person here. I still have teenagers, but they have been dealing with adults and they know what the game is all about. So we'll be talking about passing on the baton today and what it entails, dealing with our adult children, letting them go, and letting them go not just empty-handed, but with our values and everything, so that they go out and do what the Lord has called them to do in their sphere of endeavor. So, Uncle, you've had adult kids living with you. Now, is there anybody still with you?
At the moment, all of them have gone.
Have gone, yes. So now I want to start with when they are with us. Now they are adults. You know, the last time we were talking about teenagers who were in between. They are not children, they are not adults, so you really don't treat them like adults. Now you have adults in your house. And how do you relate with them? How do you draw because you can say, okay, they're adults, they can do whatever they like. I don't think that would be right? So how do you make them follow your rules? How do you relate with them at that age? Since they are not children, of course, you can't shout at them, you can't order them around anyhow. So how do we deal with adults who are still living with us?
Well, thank you very, very much for that question. I believe that you start right from the time they are infants.
Yeah.
Training starts from the cradle. When they are born, how do you handle them? So training starts from the beginning, and so you develop a relationship. By the time they are adults, you understand yourselves. You know them, they know you. And so following your instructions becomes easy. But if you did not have a relationship with them when they were small, you will have problems when they are adults, because that is when they will not listen to you.
This thing you raised keeps recurring. You know, we've talked about different ages, and everybody keeps saying, if you haven't had a good relationship with your children, raise them properly from the cradle, you are going to have challenges with them at every stage in life.
Yes.
So cradle, very important, and all the developmental stages,
Yes.
we have to give them the kind of training they should have. Auntie, do you want to speak to that?
Just to add that we have also noted that apart from that training, that you also stay friends with the children. Staying friends doesn't mean that you are letting them run the show. In fact, as I thought about it, I found that, you know, there's a time where we move from just dishing instructions to being consultants. You know, they want to make a major decision. We talk about it, and you act like a consultant. They ask you information, but they make the decisions, and you supervise how the consequences of the decisions land with them and the learning process. And I think if we are candid, we can remember that our parents consulted us at certain times when they were trying to make major decisions. So it's valuable for us to also pass that across. But be really sincere that you want to take the advice that the people are giving. So I would imagine that as we're growing through the teenage years, we're doing a give and take, you understand? Sometimes they tell you they're honest. I'm not sure your opinion on this is as correct as it should be. And we've also learned here that it should be a learning process for parents. We shouldn't assume that we know everything. But we should also be, let me use a big word, cosmopolitan enough to study a lot of things that happen around them and in our world, so that we're able to talk intelligently with them, you know.
Okay, so when you're having the discussion, you are all on
the same
the same
Mhm,
page and
mhm.
everybody understands. Okay, I also want you to address the issue of relating with your adult children. I know that while they are in school, you are responsible for them. So some, they overlap adulthood, they are still in school. Okay, now they are done with school. They are looking for work or they are working. So now, how do we run our home with factoring the fact that they are here? Do we still give them an allowance? Do they contribute to the upkeep of the house, or what happens?
Well, we are
And she just rolled her eyes.
I
at
rolled
me.
my eyes. Yeah, I rolled my eyes.
we are coming from a culture that is slightly different from the Western culture. In the African culture, you find that parents and children and even extended family tend to want to live together. But we are at an age that has to change in a way. So there's no rule of the thumb as to what they should do in the house or when they should leave. But looking at it critically, the natural thing is that once they are adults, they should find their way outside your house and start their own lives. Because they need to live their own lives. As long as they are under your roof, they cannot be the masters. It means you have to be the master. And you can't have two masters in
In
one
the house.
So if they think they are old enough not to listen to you, or not to take instructions from you, or not to obey the rules within your compound, then they should exit.
Wow.
Yeah, it's as simple as that. It's a straightforward thing.
I think we can encourage them to engage in the process of living.
Yes. So what I'm saying is that, just like we said at the beginning, you develop a relationship with them. By the time they are adults, you understand yourselves. They know what are your aspirations, what are your rules, what are the things that you value, because you have already passed these values to them. And one of the values you pass to your children is you encourage them to be assertive, to be themselves, to have confidence in themselves. Most of the time, you find children who don't want to leave. They don't have confidence in themselves. They cannot face the world. Yes, at the beginning, you have to help them, and you have to ginger them to be able to look beyond the present. They have to be adventurous. I can tell you the story of my last son. When he finished at NYC, he came home after 1 or 2 weeks of rest. He carried his bag and told his mother, "I'm going to Lagos." He said, "What? How are you going to survive in Lagos?" He said, "Well, I have to go and struggle. If I stay here, we'll be fighting on your car. Who will ride the car? So I have to go to Lagos." And he went to Lagos, found some friend, stayed with him, and started looking for a job. And as God will have it, he got a job with a very good company, KPMG. So if he didn't have confidence in himself, if we didn't build that confidence in him, there's no way he would have left. He would have still been sitting there as long as he's getting free food, free bed, free everything.
Free ride.
Free ride, fueling the car for him. Why would I go and struggle? So we as parents have to encourage them, put confidence in them, while they themselves have to build confidence in themselves that they can make it.
So let me interject with what we did with our adult children and are still doing with some adult children that live with us. This first started with a budget, but like every time they had a longer period, maybe coming out of secondary school before you got admission into the university, parents can engage them in a skill which you can pay if they don't have the money. But like I had an enterprise So I engaged each of them as a
Workers.
poultry assistant.
Yes.
They began to value their money. You know, when they were not earning money, if they were going to buy a gift for somebody, it would be such a very expensive gift. But when I suggested that it should come from their pay, they suddenly knew that now the pay is good. So what I have done with the adult children that are still living with me and who are also working because of the ASU strike, you get paid like every other person. But we don't pay your, we don't buy toiletries for you. It's not on our food budget. But the secret they don't know is that when school reopens, we'll say, where is your savings? Because you've been earning all this money for months. Where is the savings? We need that money to be able to pay towards your tuition.
Wow. Okay.
So they are beginning to learn that even when we don't say, what are you doing with your pay? You had better know what you are doing with your pay. 1 year, one of them saved like up to 95,000.
Wow.
Yeah, because she had worked for close on 6 months, so she was able to save. The only learning thing for her was that she was thinking it's her money. But we were saying, no, you need to contribute to your schooling. So I think we can do that with them so that they are contributing. If an adult child decides to stay with you and is not being responsible enough, you need to extract the responsibility out of them.
So they need to contribute to what is going on.
Like they can pay your NEPA bill.
Good.
I think one of the problems is that we parents don't train them well from the beginning. If you train them well, we train them in money management. And if they know how to manage money, no matter what they are earning, they will know how to manage it. By the time they go for NYSC, they're going to get a small allowance. We didn't give them any money from home. They were able to take care of themselves. Some of them even brought some little change. So that is the beginning. So even if they're going to start a business, which you can help them, because business, for you to start a business, you may need family and friends. So if they have something they have set out to do, you can augment what they already have.
But they have to have
something.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not you pay for everything. I see people going for NYSC, their parents are still giving them an allowance. I've had colleagues, even when I started working, their parents were still sending them a monthly allowance.
Yes.
Aside the salary that they were earning, and I was like, what is this?
They will live above their means.
Yes.
They will live above their means.
Yes.
Okay. So now we know that even if adults are with you, they have to contribute something.
should.
Yeah, they can't live as if your house is a hotel.
No.
You know, you take care of everything. They just come and relax. They don't do anything. They don't contribute anything. And they claim they're adults. Adulthood comes with responsibilities.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let me throw free advice. Get rid of nannies. Get rid of house help.
Yes.
I don't see why we'll have adult children in the house and we're asking somebody to come and render services. We should share the services so that they will do. We've talked about having menus. Recently, we noticed that there was gendered occupation in our own house. So we said, no, this is not how we were trained. So we've done the menu, and they take turns cooking in baby order. In other words, if you are the smallest today, you cook, but if you are the oldest, you get to cook twice a week.
Okay.
Whether you are boy or whether you are man or woman,
you have to cook.
and it doesn't matter what is on the menu. And these are all aspects of being responsible, because then when they go out there, they are not afraid to do any chore. So it calls for a lot of supervision, and just throw away your face as a parent, whether they do it nicely or not. Stomach it and
even if you don't do it well, you correct them and they do it. They have to do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Part of the training really is for you to learn everything you need to learn.
Absolutely.
When we were growing up, my parents were not the sophisticated parents of today. They were simple, ordinary village people. But in the house, every male learned all the female chores. And even the females also learned some male chores. So I have told people, even today I was telling some people, if you take me and put me in Koma Hills, I will survive. If you take me to New York City, I will survive. So I've learned to do all the things that anybody will do to survive.
So we need to make sure our children have those survival skills so that wherever they end up, they're able to cope.
Yes.
Okay. Uncle, we've talked about the children leaving.
Yes.
Yes. So when do we, when the children leave, when do we say they should leave? Or we just allow them whenever they decide they want to leave, then they can leave? Is it their decision? Is it our decision? Or is it a joint decision about when to leave?
Okay. Living is a natural phenomenon. I've cited the example of even nature itself. Look at a mango tree. Once the mango fruits are ripe, they drop. Look at the birds. When they make a nest, lay eggs, hatch them, once they've made wings, they fly away. So why would your own children stay at home in your house? It's as simple as that. So nature itself abhors us staying in one place. The Bible itself, from Genesis, we were told to multiply and replenish the earth. So how can you replenish the earth staying in one house, in one big group? That's why the Tower of Babel was a problem. And God had to disperse them. So the living is a must. There is no, there's no thumb of the rule that says you must leave today or tomorrow. But they should leave as soon as practicable. So it should be a decision of both the leavers and those of us that are parents. We should be able to discuss, encourage, and help them to leave. For example, if your daughter gets married, she has to leave your house. If my son gets married, he has to leave my house. And marriage is supposed to bring two families together where the two families will help the couple to start a new home. So it's part of helping them to live.
So just to interject about this marriage thing. Yeah. So
yes,
your children getting married and staying with you is a no-no.
No.
Because I see people do it. I see parents living with their married children. So they are taking care of everything. They are running the bills. Even in a hospital sometimes, you see people come to the labor ward. And then you're asking the man to pay for something. And he says, Ngo is coming. His mother is coming. Can you imagine? Then Ngo comes with her purse, opens, pays the bills and all that. While the son is, I'm like, what kind of thing is going on here?
Flinging his hands.
Yes. So I don't know. I think that by the time you are getting married, it shouldn't be in your parents' house.
No.
But
what do we understand by living and cleaving? Living is both physical, psychological, social,
and financial.
And financial. So you have to live.
Okay, I think sometimes maybe the problem is that maybe the parents don't want them to leave. Because yes. I have a couple of younger colleagues who, and they've said they want to leave, and their parents were like, no, you can't go. This is a big house. Why do you want to leave? And all that. And I told them, leave. Yeah. What are you doing in your father's house? Leave. But the parents weren't happy.
But you know that parents are overbearing too.
Yes.
Like when parents have an adult girl, for example, who is probably even working in her own right, they expect her to come back, do the cooking like she used to do before she had a job, you know. So parents are overbearing. Those kind of parents find it hard to let go, and it's not right. You must let the children go. They have to go and live their lives, you know. Yeah. And we put a lot of expectations because they are living under our roof.
Let's call a spade a spade. Most of the time, parents that don't want their children to leave is because of their selfishness. It's simple as that. Why don't you want them to leave? You want to live your life and live their own lives. Are you in your own father's house? Such parents, you find they are in their own houses. So why won't your child go and start his own house? So it is purely on because of our own personal selfishness. So we must get to a point that we tell ourselves the truth. These young people need to start their own lives. And so we must encourage them to live. Because they cannot reach their potential living under you. There's always that shadow of your dominance over them. They need to go out there and face the challenges that you have taught them to face, that you have taught them to stand on their feet.
So you must trust that you have equipped your children adequately to be able to cope with life. So when it's time to go, they have to go.
They have to go. So if you didn't do your job, that's when you begin to give excuses. And you bring such things like, because I love him, or because... Who doesn't love his child?
I also think that they can have practice sessions. By the time your child is graduating from a tertiary institution and facing NYSC, you need to face the fact that they've gone.
Yes.
They are from there on, they are visitors. They come for a while and go, you know. And both parents and children must have that mentality that going forward, they are just visitors.
Yes.
They will come for reunions, they will come for vacations, but they will have to go back. So we need to have that trial run.
So I see a lot of young people, some of them in their 30s, some in their 40s,
Wow.
still staying with their parents. And so such a young person will never think of venturing out to do something for himself because they're still eating and drinking and clothing under their parents.
But for the young people, why wouldn't they want to leave? Because I've spoken to a couple of young people. I'm like, what are you doing here? Won't you leave this place? Go. He says he doesn't have a job. So I'm like, will you get this job at home? I said, why? Because this particular person, I was like, why don't you go to Lagos, go to Abuja, just go where your friends are, where your relatives are. Hit it, slap the streets, just go and hustle like other young men. Because I see, like when I'm in Abuja many times, if I take Uber, I see these young people, you know, who are driving Uber, and many times I engage them in conversation, and you find out that these boys are hustling.
Yeah.
Some of them have 2-3 jobs, they are hustling. And I'm like, so how do you say no? There's no, you know, you have to hustle. You have to make a life for yourself. And I can't depend on my parents. My parents have paid my fees. They've tried. Let me go and hustle for my life. And I see them struggling. And so I don't know why some children just don't want to live. Please, why don't they want
Mental
to
laziness is part of it. Mental laziness. A lot of children will say, my parents are rich. They have a house. They have cars. Why should I go and start struggling? And some parents also encourage that. I don't want my child to suffer. I don't want my children to go through what I went through. That is not right. Your children should be able to do those things that are necessary to make them men or women that they ought to be, to reach their potentials.
So mental laziness is what is driving.
Part of it.
And maybe some people are also scared.
It's part
Fear
of
of the unknown.
Yes. Fear is a natural phenomenon, but you have to overcome it. Even to eat food, sometimes you are afraid there may be fish born that may choke you.
Yeah.
But you still
But you have to take
go
the
ahead
risk.
and eat it.
Yeah.
So,
But
we
I think,
must-
like Uncle said earlier, preparation.
yes.
Talk about these things when they're in the universities, where they will live, the kind of jobs they will look out for, and, you know, encourage them to begin to apply and try things. I think like ours was a lot easier because as our children graduated and went into graduate school, they bade us bye-bye because after graduate school, they didn't tell, they weren't coming back again. And we were happy for them to be able to take those tests, but there should be the preparation of talking about who they want to be, what contributions they'll be making, and checking with them so that they don't overstay. I think, like Uncle said, honestly, by the time they are leaving your house for NYSC, we should be bidding them bye-bye.
Okay. Just to talk again about this job thing. Well, this is what I think. I don't think that young people should wait until they get their dream job
Yeah?
before they go.
Absolutely.
Because I think sometimes that's the problem.
Yes.
We're waiting for our dream jobs. But I think you can start somewhere. I don't
Yeah.
know what you think about that.
I think that is very right. Anything you can do to earn something, you should do it because it builds your experience. That big job you are looking for, when you apply, they always ask for experience. Where will you get the experience if you have not done something? And one of the principles of life is that work for free sometimes.
Yeah?
Volunteer.
Yeah?
Even when you are in school, when you come on holiday, volunteer to go to some farm or whatever and work for free. You will never know when it will come back to you.
This is a very, very
We
important
didn't
point.
work for we were conscripted.
So it wasn't an option.
Like me, I didn't give my people optional. Once I saw that there was a strike, I said, you go here, you go here, you go.
Yes.
I think if you give them the option, they would think it's optional.
Okay. But this issue that Uncle just raised about volunteering for free, I think young people need to hear this, because there's this mentality that if I'm not paid for something, I'm not going to do it. And I don't think everything is
money.
always weighed in naira and kobo.
No.
Yeah?
You know, sometimes certain experience, you can't really put value like that to it at that time. But as he says, when people are looking at your CV, they're looking at your experience, they've seen that you've done this, you've done that, you volunteered here, you volunteered there. So I think going forward, for young people who are still looking for jobs, you can volunteer, you can start something. And I don't think there's anything wrong in keeping 2-3 jobs.
No.
In developed countries, people do that. People keep 2-3 jobs.
Call it moonlighting.
Yes, and Nigerians go and keep 2-3 jobs.
Yes.
But when they are in Nigeria, you don't want to do 2-3 jobs because some jobs you think are too small for you. But if you do some of those 2-3 jobs, the money from 2-3 of them can keep you going.
Yeah.
Particularly digital jobs. I hope the young people are listening. A lot of digital jobs now, you can work from home and you can still deliver the products online, and you know, you get paid good money for it. But you have to hustle. You need to acquire the skills to be able to do that job and do it very well.
Just to buttress the point, most of us have held managerial positions. If you're going to hire a worker and he brings a CV that says, I've been at home for 5 years without a job, and there is nothing to show that he has done anything anywhere, will you hire that person? Or somebody who have a CV who has been out of job maybe just 2 years, and he has served in many places, even if he was not paid. Which one would you hire?
This person who has been working now.
So it's as simple.
In fact, we found that sometimes when we employed people, we tried to look at whether they had volunteered for the university or not. And you know, that was a plus for them. Like my son he volunteered like for 6 months before there was an opening for him to get in. So I can't overemphasize that. Offer some, and you know, you learn from it, and sometimes you get TP anyway. But if you don't get TP, you get skills in exchange for the time that you spent.
So it's like a win-win situation. You're not losing out on anything. So, well, if young people are listening, I hope you will take this. Or even if the young people are not listening, parents are listening, please talk to your young people so that they go and do what they need to do, even volunteer. And there are many places where people can volunteer, because I know that there are many establishments who need people to work, but they may not have the finances to pay at that time. But they'll be willing to have people work. Okay, right now we'll go on break. When we come back, we'll talk about how to get them going, how to make sure they leave us. So viewers, we'll go on break now. When we come back, our number will be on the screen, and you can call in to make your comments or ask questions. Or you can even go to our Facebook page and drop your comments there. We'll look at them and we'll respond to them. So, see you after the break.
Equa TV Africa keeps you lifted 24/7. Fixes your day and makes it fulfilled with messages of hope and salvation.
Sin and the devil, they always work hand in hand together.
Christ too, and the ministry of the Lord also will be promoted.
This aspect of David's experience we read in our passage of consideration brings this situation very near to ours.
He is majestic in holiness. Praise the Lord.
Groundbreaking shows for every life situation.
Parents don't tell lies, because that's always a problem.
But in the north, we have abandoned education.
If you ask me to do anything for Nigeria, please equip me.
It feels great being on Never Ending platform.
Heaven gifted songs to lift your spirit up, pull you out of worry, fear, sadness, and even depression. Keep watching Equa TV Africa. Follow us on all our social media platforms and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit the notification button to keep up with our activities.
Welcome back, viewers, from the break. We're here at the living room, Equa TV Africa, talking about passing on the baton. We've been talking about our adult children, how to live with them, how to handle them, and how to let them go, and why sometimes parents don't let our children go, and the tools that they need to encourage them to go. So we have our number on the screen. You can call in, or you can put your message on our Facebook page. Felix and Kenya, we've seen your message, and they are duly noted. Thank you for your encouragement.
Yeah, Kenya has said apprenticeship will go a long way.
Okay, so maybe you'll talk about apprenticeship. But here on the screen, here with me, to introduce us again, we have Professor Teresa Amado and Dr. Agaldo, who are parents of adult children and have vast wealth of experience in handling adult children and letting them go.
Yeah, I think like what Kenya is referring to apprenticeship is skills acquisition. And we had talked about skills one way or the other.
Yeah.
We said before the adult people become adults, they must have one skill, one life skill that they can depend on, supposing they don't get a regular job. Is it tailoring? Is it shoemaking, being a cobblers? But there are far more interesting digital jobs now that they can do. People are, I think I've known a 10-year-old who is teaching himself coding, programming. So they are able to develop websites for you. And they have all the time, and they are creative, and they get paid for it.
We have a caller, Aklo. Okay, Aklo is calling. Okay, it's like we've lost the call.
So apprenticeship, I would call it skills acquisition. And they can be soft skills, they can be the hard skills that we know, Like, if I mention the person's name, you will know, not only did she get her fashion designing right, she has now gone to elaborate decorating.
Okay, Aklo is back. Okay, Aklo, we're listening. Yeah?
Yes, okay. I remember it was yesterday that I copied your number from the television.
Okay.
Okay, I wanted to contribute, but I call you, but the number is not reachable.
It's now reachable, so you can still contribute, Aklo.
On the Equa television now.
Yes, you are on. We can hear you.
Yeah. Okay.
Or you just wanted to greet us? Okay.
Thank you
for greeting us.
Thank you. I think we shouldn't just narrow ourselves to only the known skills. Isn't your son apprenticing at a motor mechanic shop?
Yeah, he is.
I'm so encouraged by
and
that.
he's learning.
But you see, I've spoken, like there's a lady I know, she has a shop. Her husband also does interlocking. But their kids don't do, and they don't come to the shop. They are not doing the interlocking. I asked her once, I said, I've been coming here, I've never seen your children. And I knew at that time the kids were on break. She said the father said he doesn't want his children to suffer the way they suffered. So they will. So I told her, I said, you've cheated your kids. Because kids who have parents who have other skills, at least you are going to school and then you learn your parents' skill. You know how to run a shop, you know how to do interlocking, and then whatever else. Then your children have added advantage over other kids.
But it also means they are not thinking about family succession. They are not thinking about what will happen to them when they die, and then the business will also die, because the children were never really involved in the business. If children try out the business, we might find out that there are people who really like that business and can continue for you before.
Or even contribute ideas to help the business grow.
Do you know I started learning bookkeeping when I was in the university? Because I would come on holiday and I tried to keep my father's books. He was a farmer, very big poultry farmer. And now...
Oh, now I know where you... Yeah.
Now it's very easy for me to navigate those records because I've kept those records. So we can get our children to keep records, develop receipts for us. Those who are digital, let them develop workbooks for you. One of my sons developed a poultry tracker for me. In other words, by just imputing things like this, it tracks the performance day by day, month by month, you know, all irrespective of that. So guys, run with it. Don't let us tell you, run with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there is nothing too menial for anyone to do, as long as it is going to improve your experience, your exposure, and so on and so forth.
That's another point. Nothing is too menial. Don't say, oh, this is beneath me. Because I know there was a relative at a time we had who didn't have a job, and we were like, you have a car, so why don't you do a taxi? He says, God forbid. How can you graduate like him driving? And now when you go to Abuja, Lagos, many of the people driving Ubers and all that, they're all graduates.
A friend of mine who is a professor in your university, when he started lecturing, he had a Beetle. He was using that Beetle to ferry people from Jos to Bukuru and back.
And it was augmenting his
income.
Augmenting
his income.
Of course. I think any honest labor is okay.
Today I know he's in car business. He sells cars.
Oh, so you see where
he's still a professor in the university.
So he even, I'm sure even that his business helped him learn more about cars and all that. So everybody should get out there. There's something you can do. There's something you can learn.
But I think parents can also help young people appreciate the dignity of labor.
Parents themselves also need to appreciate the dignity of labor, because I've also heard parents say, oh, how can my child do, like for my son who is doing the mechanic thing, some colleagues have spoken to me that, why would you let your son do mechanic? I'm like, and you could see it on their face, like, for what now?
Okay, he fixes their car and
charges
them real good money.
Labor is labor and there's dignity in labor. So far you are not stealing, you are doing something that is honest. I think it's a good place to go.
Yeah. You see this, my hands. One of my younger brother's sons said to us that his hands are not for farming. They are for, that is terrible. Meanwhile, I go to the farm. Tractors work on my farm. I still have the ordinary hoe that I can use to repair certain places that the tractor cannot do. At my age,
so why will a young person like that think? And you are a doctor, you have been a permanent secretary, you are still doing farming and hoeing, and it's not beneath you. No. There are some people who have not earned shishi. We tell you that their hands cannot do farming. Can you just imagine? So I think sometimes...
But you can see that those people making those comments like this, it started when they were younger. You know, we have talked on this program, we say, but get your children to hoe around the house.
You now. Somebody is calling in from Yobe.
I want to ask a question.
Okay.
Are you with me?
Yes, we're with you. Please ask your question.
I'm having a challenge.
Yeah?
I'm having a challenge.
Okay.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, we can hear you.
The challenge is that I'm a graduate from University of Maiduguri. Hello.
We are listening. We can hear you. You are very loud and clear. Oh, okay. Maybe network issues.
Lost her.
So yeah. So if he calls back, we'll hear what the challenge is.
So maybe to emphasize the fact that Uncle has said, look, it starts younger. How were they oriented when they were going to primary schools, secondary schools? Did they see the dignity of labor?
Yeah.
And our secondary schools were very good. They didn't make exemptions. Everybody worked.
Yeah.
Yes.
It didn't matter whether you were high profile. Everybody in secondary school worked. We didn't bribe. So how come parents are now saying that their children can't do menial work? Or you yourself? That means you are comfortable. But even if you are comfortable, we must show that every work has
Moses
value.
is back.
After my NCE, I was teaching in some private school before I ran to my degree program. But unfortunately, because of financial issue, I was unable to concentrate and I passed out with a low class. So I feel bad again to tender my results in some private school for working. But teaching is my passion. I like teaching, but because of my low results, I decided to abandon the teaching and come back to start a business. I'm actually from Benue State. So I used to spend money, they would bring a jerrycan of oil for me and managing. So as I'm watching this program, I just said, so let me share with you. People should advise me on what to do. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
That is what.
Thank you for sharing this challenge. I think you will get an answer. Auntie,
Yeah, what?
answer. What can he do? He has a low grade from the university and he's embarrassed to show his certificate, but he really wants to teach. So what can he do?
I'm not sure I'm able to answer adequately, but if we had time, I would have chatted something for him. What is his passion? What
Teaching.
does
He says he loves teaching.
He loves teaching. But you know, you have to have the talent for teaching, which is what he also maybe lacks, because for you to be engaged in teaching, you must have competence. So it's not just the passion, but also the competence. And then can he bring money? Has he volunteered in any secondary school?
No, he's not. Somebody else is on the line. Okay, let's hear
Hello?
this question. Yes?
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you, please.
I am very, very interested in this topic. I remember some years back when I graduated from my university. I read marketing. I was not having a job, but I decided to engage myself in one company to do a voluntary work with them as a sales rep.
Wow.
But you know, because of that voluntary work, God decided to open a white-collar job for me. And that is where I'm working presently as a store officer.
Wow.
So I want to encourage the parents that they should try all they could do. They shouldn't wait for white-collar job. If there is any opportunity that they can engage themselves, pending when God will open a job for them, I think it will be very good for them. You know, our youth now, they are very, very lazy. Everybody is waiting for the white-collar job. So
Everybody
when you
wants
started
to
somewhere,
hammer, or most of them want to hammer.
God will
That's the
open a way
problem.
for you. When I remember when I engaged myself in that company, they were not paying me. I was using my money to get the company product, to go out and marketing it. So at the end of the day, whatever I have, I'll be feeding myself, taking care of myself. Not until when a fateful date comes. I came to Lafayette to supply a book. And I went after the supply, I was able to discuss with the Commissioner of Health because I brought medical books for them in the School of Nursing. So when I discussed with the Commissioner of Health, I told the man that I've graduated for about 6 good years, but I doesn't have a job. So I decided to engage myself in this. And he said, can he get my CV? And I gave him my CV. After a month, they called me for interview in Lafayette, and they gave me a job. Presently now, I'm working with Hospital Management Board as a principal store officer. So I thank God for that opportunity. So let's try to encourage our parents. Thank you, Equa TV, and God bless you.
God bless you too. Thank you for sharing your testimony. That's very encouraging. So in the process of volunteering, he got something, which is very good.
You will.
So for this, the other caller.
So I would say he can remedy his degree or whatever the certificate is. If you got a low grade degree and you can't turn it, for goodness sake, take a postgraduate diploma
in education
and remedy it.
Yeah.
But by volunteering, you know, the talent will show and people will be willing to sponsor him.
It just says he's embarrassed to show his certificate. But I think...
But he can do something about it.
Yeah. So you've heard. Do something about it. You can do a postgraduate diploma to remedy the degree. And then you can also continue the business you are doing on the side while doing this, trying to sort out this one. And I think you'll be able to sort it out ultimately.
And there are even online certifications.
Yeah, so you can't allow your dream die because you think, he said he didn't have enough time in school to study and come out with a good grade. So
has he thought of gathering the children around his compound and giving them some
lessons,
some free lessons?
Yeah, that's also a suggestion.
Or for a little money.
Yes.
Yeah,
because
parents will be willing to
coaching children in maths and English is good.
It keeps them busy, out of trouble, and they learn.
Yes.
And you get small change.
Yeah, you get small change on the side. So you can do in your neighborhood, organize something for the children, and let your talent speak for itself as time goes on. So
okay, let me add a few things. I think from what Uncle said, you can see that if you're going to go out on your own, you need some resilience, a spirit of I will persist until I succeed, not just a spirit of resilience, a little courage. All the people who are out there doing it, they weren't born with it too. No. And you try and fail. This one may not work, but this one will work. But you need some bit of courage. And then the third one, which we've been saying throughout this program, it should be about God and bringing glory to God where we're going. And is sitting at home being a bomb bringing glory to God?
Not at all. Not at all. Yeah, you need to step out. You need to step out. Like for me, I schooled in the South. I grew up in the South. But I had this thing. I was coming to the North too. I really didn't know anybody. I only knew one person. And I didn't even know where he lived. So I collected his address from somebody. And I just showed up in Jos. That's how I came to Jos. Can you
say courage? That's courage.
That's how I came to Jos.
That's courage.
And I salute my parents for even letting me do that. Because now I'm wondering, if my daughter comes up with this idea, would I be that bold? But I think I should let her go to make out life for herself.
Part of the training we're talking about of children, I have a unique history. I left my parents the day I started primary 1.
Wow.
And I stayed with uncles. I stayed with people that are not related to me at all, sleeping on mats on the floor, just to go to school. I remember at a time I used to trek miles to go to school. After my primary school, I remember I took my small iron box, put on my head, entered the train alone, and went to school. My parents never knew where I went to school. They have never visited the place until I finished. That's how I finished secondary school, went for my A-levels, and to university. So when you're talking about courage, can you intimidate me?
No way.
I wouldn't dare. I wouldn't dare.
So that is the path I've gone through. But if you put your child in a cocoon, he has nothing to challenge him. Why will he not be a vegetable? So parents have a lot to play. My parents had every reason to keep me at home, to go to school from where they were. But they decided that, no, I should go somewhere else and go to school. All my other siblings went to school from home. But I had to leave them to go to school for one reason or the other. So we need to build confidence in our children. We need to let them make the mistakes. We need to let them have the challenges of life, then overcome them. We only learn from our mistakes. We don't learn from what we know. It is only mistakes that help us to overcome and then do it better.
And then I would add to it that there are always opportunities in the struggles.
Absolutely.
You know, as you struggle, you yourself, you begin to see the opportunities because you're going through the process.
Yes.
When you were talking about hammer, or when the caller talked about hammer, I think many people want the results without the process. And the process is the struggle. We all struggle. They have to struggle.
You must go through the process. You can't circumvent it. So, Uncle, how do we get them to go?
Simple. Encourage them.
Or kick them out.
No, that's crude. But encourage them. Discuss with them. Let them see the need for them to go out. Because the world is out there. It's not in your home. All the opportunities are out there. If you want to be the president of Nigeria or the president of the United Nations or whatever, you cannot do it sitting in my home and just procrastinating or just dreaming about it. You have to go out there and face the challenges.
So you need to have that discussion.
Yes.
You need to leave.
If they're staying too long, have a discussion with them. Even after they refuse, still have a discussion with them until it becomes uncomfortable.
For them. What if they are hardened?
If it is too comfortable, they will not go.
So, but I think if some of them are too comfortable, let me put it like that, though I expect that if we give them the kind of training that you've talked about, when it's time to go, they should also know that it's time to go. They don't even want to stay. But assuming you have these recalcitrant ones that no matter what you do, they... Isn't there a time when we need to give them matching orders?
That's
You
what
say,
I'm
"Look,
saying. You have to
look,
keep them
you
out.
can't be here by next month. You just have to go."
Excuse me. The problem is two-way.
Okay.
We both have to play our parts. Like we said, as parents, you talked about parents that will say, "I don't want my child to suffer."
Yeah, and a lot of parents
so
say
you are
that.
part of the problem.
They don't want their children to suffer.
So they
and I
are
don't
part of
know
the problem.
how-
There are we want to live our lives, live the lives of our children. That is selfish. I want to say it that way, as raw as that. It is being selfish.
That's the second time Uncle has said this, so better pay
Yes.
attention.
Yes, it is selfish. Why do you want to live your child's life? You suffered and you don't want your child to suffer. Why are you what you are? You are what you are because of the suffering you went through. I don't want your child to suffer and become something. Something is wrong there. So we need to check ourselves, both parents and the young people.
So I would use a softer word. I won't say we don't want them to suffer. We want them to have a story.
Okay.
We each have a story.
So they should go and
they
have
should
their
also
own
have
story.
they should have a
Because
story.
I've also, looking around, I've also realized that even parents who are wealthy and have so much and all that, if they keep their children in that cocoon and all that, you find out that after a while, even when the parents are gone, those kids can't even keep the wealth.
They can't.
No.
In a few years, everything is gone. I've known, even in Jos here, I've known people whose fathers were very rich. Right now, they don't even have a house to stay. They've sold and squandered everything.
Because they didn't go through the process.
Even when we were in school, those children that came from, so to say, well-to-do families that were pampered to a fault, where are they today? Compare them to yourself and see.
They don't have a story.
They don't have a
We
story.
all have to have a story to
Must
tell,
have a story.
to encourage the next generation.
Yes, I have countless classmates that thought they had it. Some of them are dead because of addictions. Some of them are nowhere to be found.
So they made nothing of their lives despite all the
Yes.
opportunities that they had.
Yes.
So, well, this is just to tell parents that keeping our children safe, in quotes, may not augur well for them. We need to let them pass through the process. And as people always give the example of the butterfly, that if you help it hatch, it will not make it.
No, it will not
so
make
it needs to go through that process of breaking the cocoon and coming out to be successful. So I like how she said it, that everybody has to have a story.
They have to
so
have
we
a
must
story.
insist that our children have stories. And it's an act of love, an act of fulfilling God's mandate for their lives, that they need to go. They need to go replenish the earth and go and make a name for themselves or have stories for themselves for the next generation. So quickly, Auntie, any last words? We're wrapping up.
I think I can't overemphasize this issue of they must go into the struggle. There are opportunities in the struggle. Don't miss the process.
Okay, Uncle.
Let's have a relationship with our children from infancy to adulthood so that when the time comes for them to leave, we will live peacefully. There will be no struggle at that point because we would have trained them enough.
Okay, so we need that relationship to be able to get our children to be all that they can be so that we can get them going.
Yes.
Auntie, is there something from our Facebook page?
From our GM. Our GM is saying that this is blessing me honestly, and I hope parents are watching this keenly. Our youth must be up and about with their hustle, disregarding who their parents are and what they have. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you so
GM,
much.
thank you.
GM, thank you. Shout out to you too. So Professor Teresa Madu, Dr. Ishaya Agaldo, thank you so much for, you have really shown your wealth of experience.
It's our pleasure to be here.
For being here. And my name is Amaka Ocheke. It's been a pleasure having you. We hope you'll see you again next time when we come again on the living room, Equa Television. God bless you as we go and do as we have heard.